Hi everybody, it's Crystal. Welcome to my channel, Bagoday Crochet. So today I have a yarn review for you. First off, just know that my yarn reviews are opinion based only. Alright, this is my personal thoughts on them. I don't really like to do yarn reviews because people's differences in opinions, just some people collide if you don't agree with them. So I don't always do them, but I was asked to do one on this yarn, so I will do it. But please remember, my opinions can differ from everybody's by a lot, or they could be the same. And it doesn't matter to me either way whether you like the yarn or not. I'm not affiliated with this yarn company nor any yarn company. I have nothing to gain whether you buy the yarn or not. Alright, this is an honest based opinion. I'm gonna do a review on the new Bernat Fluffy yarn. Bernat Fluffy. Alright. So let's talk a little bit about the Bernat Fluffy. You know I'm grabbing my scale, right? It's my thing now. Okay. We'll start out with, it's from, Bernat is a Yarn Inspirations brand, alright? And it is classified as a bulky weight number 5. Or chunky weight, or that would be a 12-5 to some of my friends across the pond. Okay, there we go. I'm going to say that is a good, bulky 5 classification. All right, so I will give them a good on that. It is 90% polyester and 10% nylon is the fiber content. It recommends knitting needles in 8mm and a crochet hook in 8mm. That's an odd recommendation. All right, it says that you can wash it cold, gentle, and that you can dry it cool, gentle, as I did. So you see the differences. All right, it is 9.8 ounces, 280 grams, 415 yards, or 380 meters. All right, well, first thing I'm going to do is weigh that, and I'm going to see if it weighs the 280 grams that it's supposed to weigh. 304. Excellent. And I will let you know that I had another ball that I used to crochet with, and it weighed 300 on the nose. So both of them did weigh over what it was supposed to weigh. So that's good. So we got 380 meters or 415 yards of a bulky 5 polyester nylon blend. All right, so the big question is, how does the Bernat Fluffy feel? Okay, so it's soft. It's a soft yarn. Is it super soft? No. Is it rough? It's not rough at all. I would say the feeling of that is it's not as soft. Okay, it's like a hybrid of, like, if you took Bernat blanket yarn and then you mixed it with some microfiber yarn, and then like mix it with some felting stuff. That's what it would be. So it's hard to compare it. It reminds me again of Bernat had that Bernat felted yarn they came out with a couple of years ago. It's almost identical to that, I would say. Now, it's soft, definitely soft and squishy, enough for a blanket and stuff. But no, it doesn't feel as soft as like a velvet yarn or a blanket yarn. And I'm not even a fan of blanket yarn, but I don't think it's as soft as those type of yarns. This is what it looks like up close. So you can see it's fuzzy, and you can tell there's a bit of nylon in it because it does have a bit of a stretch on it. it is spun. It is a blown yarn, I do believe. Yes. So blown yarn, if you don't know, it's generally, most of the time, it's a black or white mesh tube, but sometimes they spice it up and use a different color tube. But this is a black hollow mesh tube, and what they do is they blow fibers through it. So as this one has lots of fiber that they blew through it, and they wanted to do that to make it so the fiber comes out the mesh tube and it looks like this. All right. So like I said, it's soft. It's a soft yarn. Yeah, you could definitely make a blanket with it, scarf with it. It's squishy. Do you want to go look at my samples that I crocheted with and my wash and dry sample as per instructions? Let's go check it out, okay? Okay. All right, so I just wanted to show you real quick. So I made my first sample, and right now it's in the washing machine, so I can show you what it looks like after it's been washed. So I'm making my second sample so we can compare what it looks like before and after the wash. I just wanted to show you after my first sample and then this much of the next. Look at this all over my desk. It's all over. It's shedding like crazy, not to mention what's in my lap. So I'm just trying to be thorough with the review, and I want to show you that I noticed that it was shedding, and then I looked up and I noticed it's all over my desk, and then I looked down and it was, I mean, it's all the way over here, and I'm not even crocheting over here. I mean, and then it was all in my lap and whatnot. So just giving you a heads up that it's going to be a shedder. That's during crochet. So I don't know if maybe the washer, after it's washed and dried, maybe it will look better. But we'll see here in just a second. Alright, so here's the sample I did. Now, I did two samples the exact same, and using their recommending hook size of an 8mm. The reason why I said that was a bit odd a recommendation is because an 8mm is not a common crochet hook. Generally, it's a specialty buy. It's not one that you, if you bought a crochet hook set, most of the time an 8mm is not going to be in there. But there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I had an 8mm, or I have 8mm. So this is a sample that I used, that I swatched up using the recommended hook size. Now I did some bobbles, and you know, I just did some few stitches so we could see if the stitch definition was there. Like if you wanted to use a special stitch, if you would be wasting your time or not. Now you can see the stitches, the bobbles. See that? So there's the back. It crocheted perfect. I mean, it didn't get hung up one time. Now, will it come out the same as easily as it crocheted? I don't know. We'll find out in a minute. But here's my crochet sample. Now, I'm going to show you the piece that I washed and dried as per instructions. Now, I do want you to remember that I am looking at them right now with my eyes. I have very good vision. I get my eyes checked all the time. And just know that people's devices can look different. Because sometimes I will say how something looks, and people will argue with me and say that's not how it looks to me. Well, that's how it really looks because I'm staring at it right now. It's just different devices can make things look different. So, all that said, there is the non-wash and dried sample. Looks fine. The bobbles show up, and you could probably see the bobbles better if it wasn't such a dark yarn. And here is a sample that was washed and dried as per instructions. One thing right off is I noticed that it shrunk. It shrunk. I even dried it cool and gentle, like it said. And we'll look, because you can definitely see that it shrunk. When you lay them on top of each other, put them together. So it didn't shrink like well, now it's coming off the bottom. It didn't shrink tons, but it did shrink. You can tell. But I imagine you can just block that back into shape. It's really not enough shrinkage. I mean, I did notice that it shrunk. It's not really enough that I think you can block it you know, pin it down and block it back into the place that you want it to be. So I guess that shrinkage isn't, well, you wouldn't be able to block it after you dried it. So my recommendation would be not to dry it in the dryer. Because if you dry it in the dryer, it's going to shrink. And you're not going to be able to block it. Because you have to block it when it's wet. You know what I mean? Wet block it. But once it's dried, it's shrunk. And you can't do anything about it. Unless you stretch it like this. But eventually it's just going to go back down to where it was. So this is what it looks like after it's been washed and dried. And as per instructions, let's hold them up next to each other. Wash and dried, fresh off the hook right here. It really didn't do too bad other than a minor shrinkage. And it did fuzz up a bit more. Now I know you're going to say that you don't see it, but I can see it. I'm looking right at it. Not hugely bad. I don't think putting it in the washer is a bad idea on cold, gentle. But putting it in the dryer is something I probably wouldn't do. But, you know, they said you could do it. I did it. It shrunk up a bit. So that's really at your discretion. Other than that, it really... Let me see here. I'm going to look closely. No fading. It didn't get any softer. It feels the same as it did going in as it does coming out. So, I mean, that didn't change at all. Doesn't appear that it felted together really any. Sometimes these yarns will like felt up a little bit together. I think as for the wash and dry sample, it passed the wash sample. The dry sample, it shrunk just a bit. Not too bad, really. Like I said, I guess that would just depend on what you thought about it. I probably wouldn't put it in the dryer if I got it again. But it's, you know, that's up to you. So, otherwise, no fading. And the bobbles or nothing, they didn't like lose shape or felt together. A little bit more fuzzy than it was, but not enough to really probably cause a problem. Because I think it all came off when you were crocheting. I'm just kidding. Okay, I want to take this one. This is the wash and dry sample. I gotta cut the end of this one, and then we're gonna take it apart, okay, and see how easy it comes apart. All right, here we go. So far, so good, especially for the type of yarn it is. We'll know more when we hit them bobbles, right? Pretty good, pretty good. All right, next row is the bobble row. Like that. Nice. As you can see, since this one was not washed or dried, it's fuzzies coming off of it. Again, those are a bit annoying. They were getting in my nose and whatnot. All right, it came out. Oh, sorry. That right there that I got hung up on was just my tail there at the end, but that was me. That was my fault. I did that. It comes out fine, all right, which is surprising. Not surprising because I didn't take the wood. Well, it's just surprising because of the type of yarn that it is. You know, usually yarns like this don't come out so good. So that's awesome that it did. All right, let's go back. All right, I'm back. All right, so the cost on this originally is $11.99 at Joann's. At the making of the video, which is 8/12/2024, it is on sale for $8.99. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colors, all of which are solid. All are very pretty. It does have 1 5-star review on Joann's. Let me see what it says. I like to look at the reviews, you know, since it's a new yarn. Let's see what they said about it. It says, I love how soft and luxurious this yarn is to touch. It's a delight to work with and feels amazing when worked up. I am rating this 10 out of 10 for softness and ease to work with. Gorgeous yarn, need more colors available. Okay, that was one person's review. Now her review is her review, and that is her opinion on it. And there was nothing wrong for her to say that. That's awesome. She found a wonderful yarn and she left a great review. I don't leave yarn reviews on websites. Good or bad. I don't leave them. But I mean, I will on Etsy sellers and stuff, you know, but Joann's and stuff, I don't leave yarn reviews on places like that. But anyways, so as you can see, she had a great experience with it. It was wonderful for her. Now for me, I'm going to say that I had a mediocre experience with it, and I will explain the reasons now. So for $12 in today's market on a regular price is probably okay for a bulky 5 with 415 yards. It's better at $8.99, of course, but I do not think that they're out of line asking $11.99, because, you know, I mean, that sucks, but that's just the way yarn, you know, that's the way it is nowadays. The feel of it is, I think that it's soft, but no, I don't think it's the softest yarn ever, especially for a polyester yarn. No, softness factor, if I'm going to rate it up against other polyesters such as blanket yarn and velvet yarn and Premier Parfait and stuff like that, this would be rated last with those. Okay, those are all way softer than this one, but it's still, I'll give it a 5 for softness. It's a soft yarn. It's a usable soft yarn. You could make a blanket with it. You can make a soft pillow with it. You could make a wearable with it. Sure, I would make a cardigan or a top out of it, and I probably wouldn't, well, I would because I do, but I wouldn't need to wear a shirt underneath it. It's not going to itch me. It's soft enough for a garment worthy yarn. But comparing it to other polyesters on the market, no, I would rate this on the lower end of the polyesters that, you know, that the ones that I named off that I'm trying to compare it to. But it's still different than those because it's got the fuzzies. Now the amount of fuzzies that released when I was crocheting with it was crazy. Like I said, they were getting my nose, making my nose itch and stuff. Didn't like that part. I don't like the way they tell you that you can dry it. I don't think that's a very good option. If it was me, I would have said to the washing factor is fine, but I would have said to lay flat to dry, only because of the shrinking factor, and it did fuzz up a bit more, but like caught a lot of fuzzies. It was hard to explain, but it wasn't bad. That part wasn't bad. It was just the little bit of shrinkage, and I guess that wasn't too bad either. But to me, I think laying flat would have been a better option. But that's totally, you know, you've seen what it looks like. I did the example. You guys can make your own decision on that. It didn't fade at all, which is awesome. The stitches all look pretty much the same, which is awesome. So, wash and dry test. For me, I would do wash, lay flat. But that's just me. Unless you're making a blanket, and you know, say you're making a blanket out of it, right? So you're making a blanket out of it. I don't think throwing it in the dryer on low, like gentle low, like I did, like it says to do, is it gonna hurt it if it shrinks a bit? It's just a blanket, you know what I mean? I think that would be okay. But if you're making a garment, you really don't want it to shrink up too much. I mean, it didn't shrink a lot, but if you make a bigger project, it's gonna shrink a little bit more. You know, I don't know. That's up to you. That's. The wash and dry part is debatable, all right? You saw, I gave you like I said, I did it. You saw it. You make your own decisions on that. So I told you everything about it as far as price, yardage. I showed you what it looked like worked up. Stitch definition was good. I showed you what it looked like after the wash and after the dry. The fuzzy factor of using it was not cool. The way it feels is okay to me. It's a soft yarn, yes. You can make a blanket out of it, yes. But it is not comparable to the other polyesters on the market. Would I buy this again? No, I would not buy it again for the reasons that I stated. These yarns are not my type of yarns. I like fuzzy yarns, but not this type of fuzzy. I don't like blanket yarn either. So, and I don't like Premier Parfait, and I don't like velvet yarn. So I rarely buy those. So me saying that I'm not going to buy this again is not any different than any of those other yarns that I mentioned. I don't buy those either. Like I said, rarely. So, but if I wanted to make something using a polyester yarn that falls in similar category to this, like the ones I mentioned, I would probably choose the blanket, Bernat blanket, over the Premier Parfait, over this, over Bernat velvet, or over the velvet yarn Lion Brand has. Oh, they don't even have their velvet yarn anymore, do they? Well, Bernat velvet, overall, all that stuff. I would probably choose this regular blanket yarn. But then again, I'm not going to choose it at all because I don't use those yarns. All right. But you know what? Don't go by what I say. It's opinion based. Basically, for me, I just showed you. I did all the tests for you. You make your own judgment. These aren't my style of yarns. All right. So really, you can't take my word for it. You can't take my word for it on any yarn. You can't take anybody's word for it. You can only take your own, because your hands feel differently than mine. You crochet differently than I do. You see things differently than I do, and everybody else. So it's only your opinion that matters, not mine, okay? I just lay it all out, and you can take the things that I said into consideration, and the things that I showed you into consideration, and please make your best judgment by that. And I always encourage you, if this is a yarn that you think that you might like and that you want to try, buy one ball. Give it a go. It could be the best yarn that you've ever felt in your entire life. Could be the worst. It could be the best. For me, it's a mediocre yarn. All right? It's not really super extraordinary for me, but that's okay. It could be for you. Okay? Maybe not though. Who knows? You don't know unless you try. Okay? So I will see you guys on my next video, whatever that might be. I hope that you're there. Take care. Bye, guys.